Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Get Jasched. Today I'm really excited to have my friend with me, Brylee Brooks. Brylee is the host of the podcast The Grind Lyfe, which is just starting a new season and has been in recruitment for 20 years. So she's worked around a lot of people and with a lot of people. So she has so much that she can share with us. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you very much for having me. It is great to be here. And yes, it's great to be able to talk with a friend,
Yeah,
make it a bit
it's so
more easygoing.
it's so much easier. And also now that we've had our half hour catch up first.
Perfect.
So the Grind Life podcast, you started that to talk about the literal grind of life and how people find kind of, I guess, well-being and how they thrive and work through challenges. Is that an accurate description of the intention of it?
Absolutely. So, yes, I have had a couple of false starts, I'll be honest, with the grind life. It kind of came out of post COVID. And then when we were moving back into the grind of traveling back to the office and trying to find our new normal. And then also the season of life that I'm in. I'm a mid career professional. I've been working for 20 years in recruitment, but I'm also not close to retirement either, right? So, me and the people I were talking to as well, so my friends, family, etc., were talking about how like everything is just a fucking grind.
Yes.
So then I thought if there's this many of us in my own friendship circle going through this, then there's probably way more than that because I'm quite a basic biatch. So I don't think I'm unique. So yes, so I had a couple of false starts. I'm just launching a new season, and it's been great so far. But it's really just one of the things is loneliness is a big deal as well. So it's supposed to be more of like a friendly chat. Uh, and I've got someone actually I'm recording with on the weekend about co-parenting, which is obviously challenging in the grind, right? Because not only are you working full time trying to have a healthy life, a social life, a family life, do the best for your kids, pay off a mortgage, all that fun stuff, then throwing co-parenting as well, then
Yeah.
you're shuffling back and forth. So yes, but recruitment has probably been my main game for the last 20 years, having done it here and in Singapore as well. So saw lots of different leadership styles and worked in lots of like different office environments.
We could get real gossipy now too, but I feel like anyone who was just listening to like how you described the grind, there's going to be so many different kinds of people that relate and resonate with that feeling. And even, it's probably worth mentioning also that you're in Victoria, so coming out of COVID was probably even more of a jarring experience to you because you guys did have, we don't need to get into that necessarily, but because you guys did have the longest lockdowns during COVID, right? So that
Absolutely.
that was such, like, I remember, when we were coming out of, well, coming more into rather having more social events again, it did feel so odd. So, it's
Yeah.
like some things did feel like grind, and I think the, if I dare say, uh the blessing, not that we like COVID, but the blessing of COVID is it did help a lot of us recognize um, what no longer suits us or recognize what actually drains us, because, there is the risk of just being stuck in the routine and just going, you know, going,
I have no idea how we all did 5 days in the office.
fuck no.
I used to sit on the train at that point, on the train just for an hour each way and thought that that was, an epic commute, and then I swapped to what I do now, which is like 2.5 to 3 hours each way, which is ending soon, which is great. But I just don't know how people did it for 5 days a week, and I would say that it's not lost on anyone in Victoria, particularly Melbourne, that the city itself has changed as well.
Yeah.
So it feels like to me, because I don't spend a lot of time there, but I feel like the city's just not where I want to be
Mm.
anymore because of it. Because like there's not as many cafes open and it just feels a bit, I don't know, there's something unsettling about it, which is a real shame.
Yeah, and it's changed. I mean, I was fortunate in the sense that I was in my own business when I went into COVID, so I kind of just got busier because suddenly businesses that I'd been, 6 months before, I'd been trying to be like, hey, we can do some things online, and they weren't interested, was suddenly open to.
Yay!
So
It definitely had positives, right? Which is great.
yeah, but I got to just be at home in my office right next to my bedroom and just, working away on the computer. So it wasn't it like I think I was already I didn't want to be in an office 5 days a week. Like,
I thought I did up until going through that, and then I went, "Oh, I actually work so much better at home." But I do like the social interaction as well.
yeah, and I think there's a balance, and I think that's the whole point in exploring those sort of ideas. And I guess like each person's grind is going to be different to another person's grind too.
Oh, absolutely. Like my grind is like nothing like my direct manager at the moment. She manages her grind by to miss all the traffic. So she lives about 40 minutes away. To miss the traffic, she gets up at 5 and goes to the gym next to the office before work. So
Mm,
she doesn't have to sit in the traffic, but then also goes back to the gym just to do like a walk on the treadmill for a half an hour at night so that she misses the traffic at the end of the day.
yeah,
Right.
that makes
So
day though.
that's a huge day.
Well-being like hat that I wear almost permanently now. I'm like, oh, that's such a long day. I was thinking, oh, maybe she leaves early to.
Oh no. No. There's another guy that does that though. So he works from 7:30 to 3:30 to avoid the traffic.
Yeah.
Um, I'm an 8 till 4 type person in that role. So I
Yes. I'm a have breakfast at 8 and then dive in and get a whole bunch of work done and then still be home but finish around 6. So
did you ever read about the you know how they say you've got your 2 hours, and I don't know if this is true or not, but the 2 hours of your day that for most people is your most productive.
oh
So
yeah.
yeah, who knows if it's true, but there's 2 points in the day for me where I come alive. 3:30
Mm.
and 8 p.m. Drives my husband mad.
I get the afternoon thing. It depends on what I've got on. Like if I'm going to a gym session at 4:30, I feel myself starting to wind down. So I'll either have a really productive 2 hours from about 1:30 to 3:30, or if I'm at home and it's not a gym day, it'll usually be around 3:30 to like 5:30, and it's like suddenly done. I have other focus times throughout the day, like late morning is good as well. It just depends. So yeah,
Yes,
so
I
interesting.
know.
Like, and
I know.
I love that you're having these conversations with people because, you know, like you said, when we can all just recognize and acknowledge sometimes things feel like a fucking grind. It's not about
Yeah.
saying that suck, but it is an opportunity to sort of bring community in almost by talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not a parent, but I have close friends that are parents, and it wasn't until a couple of years ago where one of my closest friends admitted that parenting's really hard, but you don't talk about it with the parents of other kids. And I was
Oh,
like, why wouldn't you? Just talk about it. So he tells me all the time, like the stuff that's going on. I'm like, well, you can tell me, like, I'm not judging you, and I don't know what's good, bad, or otherwise. Like, but either way, I'm not going to judge you. Um, but I said to him, like, you've got to speak to other parents. I'm sure you're not alone in this. So he's tried, and he said it doesn't really go down very well. I was like, I'll start making you t-shirts when you have to go to kids' birthday parties that say this party sucks. So then they'll talk to you.
Sponsored by the Grind Life.
Yeah. Classic, classic. But a lot of that, I was just like, well, how do you do it? Like, so I was asking loads of questions, like, you're going to swimming lessons, you're taking them to basketball practice, you're trying to teach them to ride a bike, but then you run your own business. Like, how do you fit it all in?
Yeah. I have like I'm not a parent either, but I feel like I have my three babies. The big three that I call them is like that I have to do some of every day at the moment, which is obviously work and run my business, and then write my book, and then also study my masters. And it's like, oh, between the three, like
That's huge. That is
that's
huge. Like,
I have no idea. It's like I couldn't. That's a lot.
that is a lot, and they all really impact your life and your future. So
Yeah.
it's not just the everyday, like those big rocks that you're doing will impact your future as well. So I imagine in your mind you're really focused on, I need to do a great job of these three things.
Yeah. And it's good, like it's simplified because like the reason I call it like the big three, because it simplifies it for me. Like there's always different aspects of business to do, obviously, whether it's a client sort of contact day or like a background admin kind of day or whatever it is. So that, you know, there's different aspects of that. There's going to be different aspects of uni work, whether it's pre-work for a workshop that I have that week or an assessment that I have to research and write and then research and write. Um, Writing at the moment is pretty straightforward because it's just write, then research, and then write, then research, then write. But it all kind of connects at least anyway. So it's good because I get to kind of focus just in one direction, which is all well-being and mindfulness. And it's like, cool. It's all one theme. It's all, you know, it's a theme across the board at least. So it's not too distracted elsewhere with too many other things.
You make it sound very simple, but I'm sure that it's actually quite challenging.
Challenging. Like even today, I'm like, I haven't got my 1,000 words a day for my writing in yet, and that's okay. But when? Because I'm gonna be like, there is also like, as much as I love it, there is also like, I think it's the acknowledgement that sometimes there is a grind to it. Like it takes effort, at
Oh,
least.
yeah.
You know, I get to enjoy it, but there is it is not without effort. It is not without planning. It is not without a lot of support structures around my own well-being to help me through that. And
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. Because you need to get your we discussed it offline earlier, but you need to get your foundations
yeah,
right. So you need to have like I saw something the other day. So I love planning, right? Like I love planning. But I saw something the other day on YouTube because I waste a lot of time on YouTube researching. But this guy said planning is where dreams go to die. And I was like, that's not true. My
not true.
life would not work if I didn't do all this planning.
He obviously wasn't ADHD or
No.
at all. He was just like, oh, neurotypical brain, everything's straightforward. And we're over here like, what?
Actually, if it's not written down 3 times, I've got a calendar whiteboard behind me, it's not going to happen for me because my brain will find something else.
Yes. I have like my calendar on like my online calendar is blocked out. And even if I change it on the day, like just adjust the timing of it, I have the block of time in there because it's like, oh, remember this.
Yes.
Like it's not over scheduled, which is on purpose also. But yeah, it has to be sort of just an indication somewhere of, oh, remember you're doing this.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I get it. Like trying to book people in for even the podcasts and stuff as well can be a challenge because you're like, all right, if there's a time difference, I know I can go to the meeting planner, but sometimes I just procrastinate with it going, I just don't know whether I would want to be doing that on a Sunday morning.
True. So you, as you said, you are mid-career, I guess. You
Yeah.
use a very sort of recruitment sort of term, and I'm like, oh, look at you. Like
Yeah, don't hate me.
you're mid-career. So you've had 20 or more years of experience of different styles of leadership, different approaches or absence of approaches to well-being along the way and everything like that. What I'm going to keep it broad to start with. What is something that stands out when you reflect back with those things in mind?
Do you know what? When I think about leadership, a couple of things that really stuck with me that I probably didn't know at the time was when I first got moved into a leadership role. They tried really hard to give me the training and all the rest of it, but it was a recruitment agency, so it was like she's making a lot of money. Let's promote her, and
Oh,
it was yep, people leadership. And my manager at the time had given me the feedback and also to somebody else who repeated it back to me that leadership isn't natural for Brylee. It's definitely not a natural thing for Brylee. So she has to work at it a lot harder than other people. So it had the effect of two different things on me. One was initial reaction, what a cow, but I actually love her. She's great. Um, I need to work really hard at this. And I guess the other thing, or the third thing really was I'm always gonna be an imposter as a leader. So
Oh,
that but I couldn't articulate that at the time because I hadn't heard of imposter syndrome or anything. So when I think about leadership and what I've experienced and when I first started to where I am now, I'm like, wow. Like there is a lot of, I don't want to say right and wrong because it's not black and white leadership at all. But there's a lot of things that you learn by default what not to do. And I think I probably learnt a bit of that at the start. And that comment kind of spurred it on because it was very much like, well, I have to be authoritarian. I have to tell people what to do, which failed miserably. The team hated me.
well, I mean, we do learn by doing, and that's actually how, like, sometimes that's the only way to learn, especially if someone isn't stepping into mentoring us too. And you know, it's all a buildable, like, this is me putting on like my research hat almost, but it's all a buildable skill, and we all can build that skill. And like anything, some people are more naturally adept at it than others, but I would suggest that it's not a lack, like, knowing you now, I would suggest that it's not a lack of it coming naturally to you. It's just you don't know that when you're first in your one of your first roles. You literally don't know how to, because it's a skill. And if you're so good at one thing, like you said, in recruitment, if you're so good at, you're making the money because you're recruiting well, that doesn't mean that you have been taught what is required to actually then go into people management, which is no fault of yours. You get to learn by doing, because you still get to progress if that's where you're at and what you feel is right for you. But you have to learn it. Like,
Yes,
you don't just
I
know
know.
it.
It was a funny one because I took over doing one-to-ones and I would just like come along with the KPI sheet and be like, okay, what have you done this week? And then, like, I know what it was like, but it's like, why did I do that? Because I know when that happened to me, I'd sit there going,
Yeah.
like, give me a break. Can we talk about something else? Because
Yeah.
so for one-to-ones now, and well, I've just stepped out of managing a team, which is great. But for my one-to-ones now, they are far more well-being check-ins. Like, how are you as a person? I know you're achieving things, and I know you're doing a great job. But just how are you getting on? Like, you don't need to tell me anything personal, but I just need to know where you're at. And it's much more a light-hearted conversation.
Speaking of, and you know it.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Yes. But it takes people back, though. It definitely takes people back. Though I think that some of the people that I know now in the last couple of years that I've managed have definitely been like, why is she asking me this? Like, why does she care about how I am? And it's thrown people. And it's like, because you're in the team and you're only going to do a great job if you are okay. If you're not okay, what support can I give you?
it's all like, let's support you as a whole human
Yes.
rather than as a numbers machine, right? Like, I've had whole one-on-ones with people that have just been about stuff outside of work, because it's where their brain is at. It's what they're focused
Yeah.
on. And it was never, like you said, it was always like, you don't have to tell me anything personal, but
Mm.
they were willing. And yeah, like, it's just like, well, if that's what's distracting you, or if that's what's feel like taking up your mental energy and your emotional energy, I can't necessarily solve that, but I can
I
act as,
can listen.
and I can listen, and I can, step into coach on, like, that kind of coaching role. And from what I understand, they find that so much more useful, and it changes the experience for them, because it's when we just focus on the numbers and forget the humans, then
Yeah.
it really dehumanizes people.
And they just groan at you and they're like, she doesn't give a shit about me. Whereas
Yeah.
I struggle, right? Because you need to care about your team. And as a leader or as a manager, like it's not always reciprocated, right? Because there is, yeah. So you're a bit like, I don't want to cross the line here with anyone, but I just want to convey that I care regardless of whether you don't or not. Because and I know I now would describe myself as an open softie. I know I can be a softie. Like, we make a joke about I fold like a deck of cards sometimes, which is not a good thing, but it's a bit like if someone's really struggling, I know I'll be like, well, just give me your jobs. I'll do them. It's fine. Which is
Okay.
not always great.
No. I'd be like, okay, maybe have some boundaries for your own.
Yes. Yes, I'm working on those, which is probably the other reason why I'm moving into a non-people leadership role. So you can still be a leader and not have direct reports, but I'm about to move roles, another into a recruitment role, which I'm very excited about, but it won't have direct reports,
Mm,
which is kind of nice in a way because then I can work on my own sort of craft as
yeah.
well. So, yeah.
I think it's important to allow ourselves space to work on our craft. Like whether you're in a career, like in employment or in your own business or a bit of both. Like I know some people don't see this as a priority, so it's not necessarily universal, but the way I see it is yeah, like we need to have space to work on our craft and just settle into what we're doing and be in that rather than, and I'm not saying people management is a distraction, maybe that is your craft too, but like yeah, we get to sort of honor our building and developing of our experience in our vocation by just being in it in a way that we choose.
Yeah, exactly. And you can learn so much from others as well by osmosis when you're around them, and then you see other leaders doing things and you're like, "Oh, wow, like I never would have thought of approaching it like that, but I might give it a go." Like, here's it. We were doing some training actually at work the other day, and it was around setting boundaries, and it was around a lot around time management.
Yeah.
And there was an interaction in the office, and there was 2 really polarizing views, which I absolutely loved because they were polarizing, and I was like, "Oh, this is fun."
I see. Let's go.
I know. So I was like, "Oh, this is great." It wasn't great in the end though, because I got pulled into a room
Oh no.
over it because the person was reporting to me that was the other side of the interaction. But anyway, what happened was we're doing time management. The facilitator had said about time blocking is great for you.
Mm,
And people that, the hoverers that hover behind your desk because they just need something urgently. So someone had gone over to someone in the team's desk to ask a lot of questions, and the person said, "I'm not sure if you've noticed, I have my headphones on and I'm actually doing some deep work at the moment. So if you've got a lot of questions, can you just send me a calendar invite and pop your questions in there?"
great.
Great, right? That was one view. Then the other view from the individual who received that,
The hoverer.
yes,
Yeah.
furious.
Oh,
I was like, "Oh, wow." And then in the next session, I was like, "I really hope they talk about that because it's obviously a view of one person. So it's probably a view of many that if you're on the receiving end. So how do you coach us to actually?" Because I was like, she was actually pretty polite. Like, I didn't see an issue with it, but it really offended the other person. So I was like, is it offensive because it's just new to you? And you
mm,
need your answers now, and your agenda is I want the answer now? Or is it offensive because as an organization, our culture doesn't operate like that at the moment?
there's such good questions because I think like from me from the outside, not knowing anything like about that,
Yep.
it's it would be both. It could be both because I see like people feel like they have an entitlement to other people's time and energy and attention, especially
Oh,
in the office. And I've been guilty of that too. That's not
same. Yeah. I
fine.
love a chat.
Yeah. But I think that's why going back to working in the office 5 days a week was way too much anyway because it's like
Oh,
I'm actually getting as much done and being in my own rhythm now, I'm like, oh, I could just block out my time and just, I know that I spend the next hour and a half writing and I'll get my 1,000 words done and it's great. Like it's like, oh, so much. But there's two aspects to that in a way. There's this unconscious and usually not even malicious, right? But
no.
unconscious sort of feeling of we are entitled to other people's attention when we are in the same space as them.
Yes.
Like if we just walk up. And sometimes that can be solved with like a quick hey, is now a good time? But if someone has headphones on, and I say this as an autistic person,
That's clear.
also read the room. Like,
Very clear. Headphones are quite clear that that person isn't up for being approached because they've got to get something done.
that's it. And if they have sort of indicated, hey, this is what works for me, and then you'll have my full attention, that's actually a solution.
Yes.
That's a solution that then works out for the person wanting that attention, because they'll actually get better attention and probably better responses by going with that. But you're right, like it can be this jarring moment, especially if it's like with any
For
boundary.
the receiver.
The first time they've heard something like that, they're like, oh,
Yes,
this is about me. What do you mean? It's not actually about them at all. But then the organizational culture does
exactly.
can play a role, because if the culture has been encouraged of, hey, always check your team's messages, oh, teams, like, always check your team
Yeah.
messages, be constantly available. Why didn't you respond right away? It's like, because our brains need to do deep focus. But if the messaging is something about you didn't respond in a timely manner,
Yes.
then
I've lived through that, at the bank in Singapore where the recruitment's reactive, right? Like, a lot of the job can be reactive. Not all of it, but a lot of it can be. But we would have hiring managers, sending in complaints to our executive about the recruiters not being responsive enough.
oh, wow.
And I would be like, "What the hell?" So I got help from the exec to actually go back to these response on my behalf, because, like, I was just like, "Well, they're not listening to me. So if
Mhm.
you can speak to these people." So, she just went back and said, "Would you prefer that they respond to every single email within 30 minutes, or they spend time screening and interviewing candidates for the roles that you have?" And then
Yeah.
suddenly, oh my God, the complaints went away. I was like, "Oh, yeah." Well, 'cause they're
It's
not
this,
administrators, they're not in a call center.
yeah, it's exactly. It's this perspective of, what do you think is happening?
Yeah.
And why is there almost, again, sometimes unconsciously, this assumed negative intent to
Yes.
whether someone is responding in time to you or not, when it's actually they could be doing the job that you need them to do.
I know. If I'm not responding, it's generally because I'm on the phone to somebody else.
Yeah, yeah. If I'm not responding, it's because I've blocked out my time, and it's like, oh, I will get to that. But if I stay distracted with all of the little things all at once, then I'm not actually going to get things.
Exactly.
But I schedule, like, then I allow time in my schedule to then go, all right, end of the day, for example, or even the beginning of the day, I'm just going to address all of those little things that I just need to, that's its own kind of like together block, whether that literally goes in the calendar or not. It's like, oh, I'm just going to like tidy up a few of these pieces.
Yep.
Done. Like, it's actually something that I've been thinking about this week with even just replying to people's messages, like not work related, just friends, family. And it's,
Yep.
oh yeah, I'm just busy, because I'm focused, and that's okay. But I also want to make sure I don't drop the ball there. But also, yeah, that needs to just be sometimes it's like a lunchtime break thing, or sometimes it's literally just an end of the day thing, because once I pick up the phone to start replying to one person, all of a sudden I'm on a scroll.
Oh, I know. TikTok is the death of me. I'm, like, on TikTok all the time. Not all
Mm,
the time, I shouldn't say that. In the
yeah.
morning, I'm not working today. I am on leave, so I'm not. But this morning, I woke up and I was like, "Oh, my husband's not here. He's gone to work. It's still dark. The dogs, we're not going out yet because it's still dark." So I wasted time on TikTok, and then I went, "Oh my God, it's been 45 minutes."
Yeah. Well, for me, it's like it's silly things that I don't even know what this means about. Like, it's not that I'm getting old. It's not that at all. I don't know what it is, but it's like, I've learned, if I look at my phone and start any kind of scroll, usually it's like a threads kind of like, give me information about what fuckery happened overnight. And like,
Yes,
even though I don't want to know about it, I need to know about it. But
exactly.
if I start that before my shower, or even like, which is first thing, or even within the first hour, my eyes get really sore and I get a headache. It's like my body is rejecting
Yeah.
me doing the thing that actually isn't good for me. It's like you'll have your time to check in on the world. It's not about burying your head in the sand, but just even if it weren't about checking in the world, just stop looking at a little bright light with the world's information on it so close to when you wake up, because
Yes.
holy shit, girl, like just be healthier. And I'm like, oh, what a
Yes.
concept.
I have and I've been meaning to do this for so long, but I have a alarm clock on order so that I don't use my phone to wake me up. Because on work days, I obviously need to get up at a
Yeah.
certain time, and I'm not a morning person. I like a nice, easy, slow morning, but uh, that would mean my phone is actually not going to be near me when I first wake up because I'm terrible at checking it straight away.
Yeah. I think it's just sort of, I think my body is just teamed up in support of me, but against
Good.
me in support of me enough to be like, we're going to give you headaches and we're going to make your eyes sore. And that's just going to ruin your whole day. It's going to make everything harder. So reward you and you won't. And like, I wear glasses and this is me. Well, it's just like, it just doesn't want to, my eyes don't want to focus on anything like that first thing in the morning.
Well, that's good, but you've also got some really big things that you need to be at your computer for during the day. So
So it's like, it's strong armed me into it, but it's like, oh, it's for the
that's
best.
awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. That's a good thing. Well done to your body to let you know. Stop doing that.
So if we talk about grind and well, actually, I kind of wanted to ask you what you learnt not to do with leadership, but maybe in relation to impacting the well-being. Like what's the things that
Oh,
no-nos for you?
no-nos for me is as I said earlier, like I can still fold like a deck of cards and try and help people too much, which undermines them. So that's it. That I know that's a no-no. Like I do have self-awareness that I shouldn't just try and take over because it stops them from being able to function and learn. And then if they get another stressful situation, the next manager is probably not going to be interested to take work away from them. So that's probably one thing that I would learn as well. And another thing for me that I learnt by doing was hoping a problem would go away or hoping a behavior would stop.
And just wishing and hoping.
Oh, yes, just hoping. So, and I obviously won't share names or organizations or even when it was, but there was a particular behavior by an individual that was just negative and negatively impacting the team and created a bit of a team culture of like everything about this workplace sucks, which is not true. And I knew who was doing it, right? I knew who the person was who had started this. I had a light conversation with them, by no means a heavy-handed, direct conversation.
You
And
as
that,
a to them,
as
like
a leader, yeah, I was. And then I just wishing, hoping, and then it ended up with a couple of people like really going at each other. So then it all just blew up. So then I was forced to step in. And when I reflect back on a manager moment that matters, like if I had have just spoken to that one individual in the first place, none of that would have happened as a fallout. So it's definitely like learn from my mistakes. Don't let it fester. Speak up as soon as you and it's hard with this stuff like that because it's not a direct attack and it's not a direct, but it's an ongoing type of slow behavior where like a joke here, a snide comment here, that that you can't say to people in the workplace, you can't say that or speak like that. Like if they're swearing at someone, of course you tell them off and say like, come on guys, like we need to be respectful of each other. Or if they say something outrageous that they, so it was a challenging one, but it was really the lesson for me there was if I had have just gone to the person and I knew who it was, I would not have had to deal with at least 2 months of heartache across the team.
Yeah. And I
So,
think that's, that's obviously an important lesson to learn. And then sometimes we learn that one by doing, by going
yeah.
through going, oh, and I think that that in itself is a key marker of good leadership and also what leadership should be, which is the ability and willingness to reflect and acknowledge, like, it's almost like a post assessment, right? It's like, oh, what could I have done better? What did I do well? And what am I going to do differently next time? It gets to be neutral in that way. But yeah, leadership, unfortunately, this is what I tell clients all the time too. Like, unfortunately, leadership means often starting the uncomfortable conversations first.
Oh, yes. I know, I know. Oh, and they're so hard. They're so hard. And then, like, and there's certain things that you go, is this the conversation I need to have? And like, you can get into paralysis around how long it takes you to have that conversation. And are you focusing on the right things? Because I can go off track and I really don't want to go off track
Yeah.
during those types of conversations. So I have to really prep myself for it, because sometimes the situation can be resolved by you as the leader just getting the two people to actually speak to each other.
Yeah. Kind of like, hey kids, this isn't childcare. Let's
Yes,
have a
but
real grown-up conversation because this is silly.
yeah, but you would see it a lot with your clients, I'm sure, where they've got moments that they're going, I kind of know this is happening.
Of course, like, again, because we're all human, like, and that means the people that we manage are all human too. And we all bring, like, I always refer to, like, I call it the old advice of leave your baggage at the door, because to me it seems archaic, because we are all human, so we are going to have very real emotional experiences or reactions that might be informing how we're showing up on any given day. And yes, there is an element of, we try not to take that out on the people around us, but when we try and push it aside and leave it at, like, quote, leave it at the door, it it means we're not talking about anything and we're pretending it doesn't exist. And that, just like a child, like, just like a toddler, will get louder because it's trying to get our attention, but we're trying to ignore it. And it's like, nope,
Yes, I
I'm
know.
get louder until you acknowledge me, you bitch. So
Yeah, because back in the like when I first started in recruitment, but I think even before that, in terms of I've been thinking about this a bit lately, like being stoic was really highly regarded and valued. And I did too, right? Like I totally thought like do not allow anybody to see the real you. But
yeah,
unfortunately, the real me comes out very often.
can't help my real me anymore.
No, I can't mask her, sorry. But it's interesting because I've been thinking about it a lot lately about the amount that we bring to work and the amount that you leave out of work, and what's the right balance for
Yeah,
that.
great question.
Don't have the answer, obviously, but it's just been on my mind for like probably a good couple of months now.
Yeah.
So,
I've had seasons of thinking about that too, because it's like, oh, how do you navigate that? And because I always, like you said, if I'm not masking, it's so much better for me, because, but there's still a professionalism, so to speak, or a manner of, even if it's not professionalism, but a manner of how I want to behave around other people in a way that makes sure that they feel, like, secure in the space as well, all of that. But yeah, it's this sort of, I think, especially for us as women in a lot of cases too, it's this honoring of allowing ourselves to have the reaction we're actually having. If
yes.
it's, especially because most of the time it's usually a pretty appropriate or reasonable reaction to what has maybe been said to us or done to us, or inferred or whatever,
Yeah.
right? So it's this balance of, how do I just actually let myself have the reaction because it is a real reaction and it's valid, and you know it's important that it's not shut down or this, but then also then being reactionary, which is where,
Yes.
stress management kind of conversations come up, where it's like, are you in reaction rather than
Yeah, exactly. I
expressing?
think because as women as well, and maybe men do it, but I haven't asked. But I think you kind of know, and probably for me at this stage or age I am as well, like I'm constantly catching myself going, am I reacting to this because it is a particular time of the month and I'm just a bit cranky?
Yeah.
Or I'm reacting like this because it's a legitimate issue and this is the right reaction. And I've been feeling that a lot the last like couple of months because I'm like,
Well, I mean,
because something can happen, and I'm like, I will be really angry, and then I'll step back and go, oh, that probably wasn't that big of a deal. But I'm not a shouter. I don't yell, and I generally don't, like in the workplace. I'll be like, oh wow, and that would is my version of holy fuck.
oh wow, it's almost like, oh, that's the choice you're making.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's different.
Are you sure?
Okay. Yeah, but that's kind of my yeah.
I mean, I have this this is like, I'm no expert in this, but I have this sort of background theory that maybe our reactions in a certain part of our cycle is really our truth.
Yes.
It's like, maybe we need to pay more attention to how we're actually reacting to that, because maybe it's warranted and maybe it's not aligned. And that's just
Yes.
the lack of marks. you know that.
Uh,
Such an we could sit here for 5 hours, I think, and talk about this, but uh
we
thank you
should
for
wrap it up.
your time. We are at time, so thank you so much for your time. But where can people, I guess, follow the Grind Life or anything else that
Oh yes, I'm having a fun time with the Grind Life. So I got my first bit of online feedback the other day, and I was like, oh wow, haven't had this. But I post episodes and shorts on YouTube, and then I upload it to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So that's where you can find that. But I'm also on LinkedIn because I'm a recruiter. So why wouldn't I be? So you can find me, Brylee Brooks, on LinkedIn.
I
So,
will include both links as well, to so you can get the spelling of the Grind Life as
oh,
well.
yes, I couldn't have the normal spelling. That's why it's Lyfe. And I just thought it's quite funny as well.
It's fun. So put them in the show notes anyway, so it's easy. But yes, I do highly recommend having a listen, like subscribing to and having a listen to the Grind Life. It is a really, they're good, interesting conversations because you ask very direct questions, which I enjoy. So it's like, oh, tell me that. Oh yes, no, tell me that now. And yeah, connecting with Brylee on LinkedIn, always recommend in general.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me and letting me share about the Grind Life as well. And just listening to me chat. It's been really great chatting with you.